Calling the meeting to order. Special meeting of the City Council is being held in the City Council chambers on Thursday, December 9th. You can clap. 2021 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of taking action on certain committee reports listed on the agenda. The notice of the meeting was posted on December 3rd, 2021 at 12:02 p.m. Absent is Councilor Dibble. I was told that he's on his way. Council President Christine Madore presided. First up, we have committee reports. Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Madam President. The Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an appropriation of $96,800 from sale of city property fund to engineering contracted services to pay for licensed site profession LSP services related to Furlong Park reconstruction and adjacent Parcel A soil remediation, has considered said matter and would recommend adoption.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Thank you. I don't have to count the hands, right? And that carries. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Madam President. So the big question that came up at the City Council meeting a week ago was, why are we cleaning this up when it was a junkyard and not city property? Well, they did some testing on the soils there and found that the contamination on that property was the same fill from the Salem fire that was found elsewhere on Furlong Park. So it's not junkyard junk, it's our junk from creating that land in the first place. So we need to do remediation of that. There's also was a mess up years ago on completing out the paperwork for Furlong Park, and the work on that is also covered by this appropriation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, does this require a roll call? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? Unanimous. All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. Further reports, Councilor Turiel.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. So, the Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the compensation of the City Clerk and Assistant City Clerk. It's so weird to actually read this on the proper form. Has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee and that Rule 31B be suspended to carry this matter forward to 2022, and that the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs resolves the ordinance issue by March 31st, 2022, along with the numbers being resolved, and that the City Council recommends the Mayor and HR Manager also consider merit bonuses for the City Clerk and Assistant City Clerks.
Thank you. On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Unanimous. All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Madam President. So this was the far longer part of our discussion last night, because trying to figure out compensation here is sort of a sticky wicket. What we are looking at is trying to do there's two conflicting ordinances in the city books. One says the City Council is in charge of the city clerk's salary. The other one says it's a mayoral matter with all the other salaries. So that conflicting language does have to get worked out. And at the same time, we looked at the comparables, we looked at other communities, we looked at other, we looked at merit, we looked at other responsibilities, and it was pretty clear that we didn't have a real consensus as to what this all was going to entail. And we all had some different opinions on it, but it's an issue that really should get looked at, and we need to decide as a body, or at least this body next year will have to decide whether they want the responsibility for that, or whether they want it to be a regular city position when it comes to salary. That is the only position that is appointed directly by us, the only payroll position. So there is precedent either which way for doing so. So, so we had some thoughts on it, but we did kick the can down the road ultimately for the next City Council to make a final determination.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Sargent.
Okay. Chair will call on Council President, Council Madua.
I'm going to turn on my microphone. So I feel a little conflicted about the recommendation by the committee because our Madam City Clerk has waited a long time for a decision to be made. I think it's unfair to her that, whether we vote to satisfy the requests that she had submitted to the council, she deserves an answer at this point. It's been nearly a year since the discussion started, since the budget season began in the spring, and I think she deserves an answer. And we all know that our city clerk doesn't just do the job of the city clerk, she also does the job of being the elections clerk. I think we need to really look at the overall workload of our city clerk and see if there's a way so that she could be fairly compensated in accordance with the workload. Because right now, I don't believe that's the case. And it's not because of the fault of anyone. It's just the way that things have trickled down and kind of consolidated over the years that it's all landed on one office to satisfy all these duties. So I don't like the idea of kicking it down the can. I may be maybe the only person who feels that way. I also don't like the idea of carrying it over. I think we should be resolving it sooner rather than later. So I don't know if there's a way to split the question on whether to carry it over and also the recommendation to keep it in committee. And with that, I will yield.
Thank you, Council Madua. Are you come back?
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Hey.
President.
I give you the chair back. All right.
Any further discussion, Councilor Sargent?
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I was in here. I forgot how to talk from this spot. There is a way that we can do this. It's, with 8 votes, we can pull something out of committee. And my recommendation has always been that we have somebody who is the most important member of our legislative body. That's here full-time, we're part-time. That makes all of us look good, that we can't do our job without, that so many things in the city can't happen without. And as I've always said, this chair is more important than the person who sits in it. So be it with that position. But that position is worth a much better salary for what that position does. We happen to have a wonderful person in it who does a fantastic job, but that position is the most important position in the legislative body of the city. And I believe it's fair to compensate it as much as the most important position in the executive branch of the city of Salem. And with that in mind, I've always recommended that we go back to a tradition that just as our salaries are tied to the mayor's salary, that we used to tie the city clerk's salary to the city solicitor's salary. And I would like to, if we had 8 votes to pull it out of committee, I make the motion to pull it out of committee on the floor. If I get a second, we can vote on it, and then I'll make a recommendation from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to echo part of you, Madam President, have expressed. I also wanted to be 100% in agreement with Councilor Sargent. I would like to second that motion, if I'm allowed to take it out of committee so we can proceed with some important matter that need to be taken care of as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Councilor Sargent, did you make the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor,
To pull it out of committee.
so Councilor Sargent moves to take the matter out of the Committee on Administration and Finance, seconded by Councilor Dominguez. Under discussion, Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Madam President. Ultimately, I think the committee would have liked to have resolved it, would have preferred to resolve it yesterday. But the problems we face on it are that, A, we still have a conflicting ordinance that really leaves it unclear as to who is responsible for that. So we can say something here, but it may very well not have any legal force. And that's one of the issues that we faced in doing this. And then the other one is really that we're doing this still, we have some comparative information, but I don't think we had enough to make a full determination as to what exactly the right salary is, whether it's right or not, and everything else. So I think, it wasn't just let's find a way, let's boot this because we just don't want to deal with this more. We don't have the stuff necessary to really make a good, solid decision on specific dollars. And there's also questions of our ability to appropriate money, since we don't have that power as a body. So the way things are written right now and the way the charter and ordinances are written right now, we don't have the right to actually take money and allocate it ourselves. So we can say that that a person's salary should be $400,000, or that it should, but we don't appropriate that money. So if it's not then appropriated by the mayor, it doesn't matter what we say. So that's, I think, something that needs to be resolved, and the ordinance side of that is critical before we can really go forward. The one thing I do think is that maybe a good milestone for doing this, I would agree with the at-large councilors thought that perhaps a way of doing this is to benchmark it by connecting it to a particular salary also in the branch, like the city solicitors or such, and that might be a good solution for the council to take up to do it. I wouldn't feel comfortable locking that in and trying to do that here, and I'm going to vote to not take it out of committee, but I think that would be a good approach to take. And the important thing here is that it needs to be resolved, however it is, by the end of March when budgets submissions are being finalized. So the council next year will have to really get to resolving things right away. And the current ordinances chair has indicated that that is a priority to get that done. So I'm comfortable letting the next council work on this. And they're all here, so they know it's going to be on the agenda early on.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to echo what the good word 5 counselor said. I would be nervous about appropriating money without having a thorough. There was a lot discussed in A&F that I would be nervous about having that conversation this evening without having those numbers in front of us and really having the deep dive. I completely understand and agree that the review needs to happen. And I think giving us a deadline of March 31st will ensure that that will happen. I know that those that are continuing to serve on the council next year are committed to doing that. I also feel that those that are joining us next year are also will be committed to do that as well, and also understand the work that the clerk does. We all see it every day as members of the public and as members of the council, and it's just as residents of the city. So I think the conversation is definitely important, one that will continue. I don't necessarily see us as kicking it down the road, though. I think it's just a timing issue. I mean, this came in front of us during essentially election season and couldn't really be discussed because that would just not be appropriate. And now it's the turning of the calendar. So I think it's just, we need to really have that continuing conversation in committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Marcelo.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't want to blow my whole other discussion for the ordinance, but there's a couple of things that are at play here. Even if we had changed the ordinance before this was discussed in A&F, it couldn't take effect this year. There's a Mass General Law that states that no change like this, an ordinance change related to salary, could take effect within the last 4 months of a calendar year. So we're our hands are tied that way. There was discussion in A&F. I mean, there's a couple of ways that we can move forward with this, but still it remains that the appropriations are done by the mayor. So we could make a recommendation for a salary increase. We could make a recommendation for a bonus, but it would still need to go through the mayor for an approval and an appropriation. So I feel like there is a lot going on that we have planned for the new year to kind of tackle this whole issue and bring the pay up to the range that's appropriate. And so I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Oh,
Councilor
okay.
Persniewski.
council that would deny knowing how much extra work and effort that our city clerk put in over the last 2 years, especially during COVID, while a lot of us were sitting at our homes behind our computers, council and some other city staff, our city clerk and her staff were in here working literally day and night to make sure that the adjusted elections, because of the way COVID demanded, all the extra work that went into it. I think we all tip our hats to the city clerk for what she did. That being said, there are legal issues that we have to take a look at ordinance-wise, and that's what we were trying to do in OLA. We have conflicting ordinance saying what authority who has in order to make this happen. So I don't think that we should rush to judgment, because I don't think that it will be fair to the city clerk. I think what we want to see is something fair and equitable, and have it further discussed as to what that change will be. So I don't think, again, I don't think we should rush to judgment. We do have a deadline of March 31st, and I think that gives us the opportunity to take the time to do it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Well,
Counselor Sargent?
yeah. I'll be brief. It's my second time, but
Yep.
at worst, it would follow the ordinance that's in place that affects what the council can do, and then the mayor's one could be adjusted if possible. At worst, it would be a strong recommendation from this council going forward. So, I would suggest that we try it and understand how the vote goes. Thank you.
Counselor DeVoe?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to apologize for being late. It's 7 o'clock on my calendar. I can't believe that after close to 100 meetings probably, and not being late to one. My final meeting as council, I was late to, and I apologize. On this matter, I think that former city clerks Josephine Fusco, Deb Birkenshaw, and Cheryl LaPointe, who I knew all three of them incredibly well for many, many years, they'd be incredibly proud of this city clerk and what she had to do during very difficult times, election times, recounts, COVID, and on and on. She rose to the occasion. I don't think it hurts to, I think we're having a discussion, full discussion. I don't think it hurts to take it out of committee and have a discussion about it, and I would be voting in support of that. I'm not sure what action I would vote on, but I think it's appropriate to have a discussion on it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none on the motion to take, on Councilor Sargent's motion to take the matter out of the Committee on Administration and Finance, seconded by Councilor Dominguez. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll make sure I get this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed. The matter does not carry. On adoption of the recommendation to keep the matter in committee, and what is that rule? 31B, and waive Rule 31B, so the matter could be carried over into the next year. All those in favor? I almost want to say I see 11. Yes. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further reports, Councilor Marcelo.
Thank you, Madam President. City Council, December 9th, 2021. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of 2 Code of Ordinances relative to the compensation of the city clerk, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter be kept in committee, and that we support any recommendation that the Committee on Ordinances on Administration and Finance deems appropriate for a salary adjustment, and further recommends that the council consider an order in January 2022 directing the city solicitor and the HR director to meet to review the current ordinances related to compensation and report to the Committee on Government Services.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Unanimous. All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Marcelo.
Thank you, Madam President. So we did have a good discussion on this issue, and it is complicated, and there's no way to even go through the whole discussion briefly, but Ms. Renard did guide the conversation with some history on the Personnel Board, which is where one of the ordinances in question is from. She explained that the process by which the board produced a salary schedule for every job, which was included in the manual of city government that we get every year. But that last salary schedule was adopted in the year 2000. And she explained that what happened back then was that some of the city councilors took exception to the way merit raises were being administered by the mayor at that time. The merit increases were based on performance, and the councilors did not like this. And so the ordinance remained, but it has not been followed since the year 2001, 2002. She went on to explain that the mayor has the authority to appropriate. Section 2-312 states that the council can set the rate consistent with the salary range and whatever the mayor is offering for raises. And this is what we've been doing. So until a decision is made about the personnel board itself, and she suggests that the council, so basically until we sort out all these ordinances, she suggests that the council request a comparative salary survey for the position, meet in one of the committees or as a committee of the whole, and discuss the performance of the city clerk and discuss the salary range and a raise option. And that's what really should have been happening all along, because that's what each of the departments do. They review their employees that work under them, and they get this salary survey from the HR department, and then they, talk about, I believe, what they do is they discuss the performance, and then people but they still get the same percentage merit increase. Sometimes if there is merit in increasing a salary, it's done at that time during the budget discussion. All that stuff has to be done by March 31st. So, but really, since the city clerk does report to us, we should have been having this process all along. So she suggested that we do this going forward and work out, at the same time, separately, work out the ordinance issue. And so that discussion is whether to go back to using the personnel board as written or modified in the ordinances, or to come up with a different approach. The city is currently using a different approach. So anyway, she said that it had worked for years. There was a lot of effort put into writing this personnel board ordinance. And so it does merit a further discussion on whether to go forward with that. But it was really it was a political move to stop using it. It was questions from the city council that caused it to be stopped, so.
Thank you for that very detailed report. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption recommendation to keep the matter in committee. There's two of them, right? The two ordinances. All those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. Further reports. Councilor Marcello.
Thank you, Madam President. In City Council, December 9th, 2021, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of discussing the findings and recommendations of the Race Equity Task Force, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter be received and placed on file.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Marcello.
Thank you, Madam President. So last night we did meet with several members of the Race Equity Task Force. Sean Newton, Representative Paul Tucker, Thomas McDonald, Jude Zephyr, Annie Fern Gonzalez, Grayson Ocasio, and Ana Nuncio. We also had Councilor Riccardi, Councilor Presnewski, and Councilor Dominguez, who were on the task force. We discussed the issues faced by the task force, which was created during the pandemic, and therefore many of the normal research vehicles were unavailable to them. Even with the pandemic-related hurdles and issues, though, they were able to create several subcommittees and dive into the specific areas. The report from the task force was made public in June and listed the recommendations from each subcommittee. Mr. Newton stressed that the top two recommendations were the position of Director of Equity and Inclusion and the creation of the Race Equity Task Force. It's so important that the report doesn't just sit on a shelf, but is utilized to remain focused on the work to be done. And I want to thank every member of the Race Equity Task Force for the time and commitment towards the work, and especially thank everyone who was in attendance last night for the long meeting.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on acceptance of the recommendation to, the action was to receive and be placed on file. Yes, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. Final report, Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, Madam President. In City Council, December 9th, 2021, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an ordinance establishing the Race Equity Commission, has considered said matter and would recommend that the ordinance be adopted as amended for first passage.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. On adoption of the recommendation, Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, Madam President. So the previous item, the discussion of the findings and recommendations of the Race Equity Task Force, served as an introduction and context for the deliberation on this ordinance. The discussion focused on the size of the commission and makeup of designated and appointed members. There was much discussion about trying to make sure that all marginalized groups are represented, though this is ultimately unachievable. None of us can list all the marginalized or minority communities in Salem, but we can make sure that the commission works with transparency and is open to all points of view. The entire discussion turned out to be a circular exercise at the end, as we ended up making a small amendment to the originally proposed wording regarding the makeup of the commission. This mirrored, though, the conversations within the task force itself. So I feel comfortable that our ultimate recommendation is based on consensus, not only among the members of the OLA committee, but of the task force as well. The reasoning for keeping the size of the commission to 7, as recommended by the mayor and Mr. Newton, is that this is a new body, and it will take time for them to create a process and rules for their commission. By setting the size too large, it will delay their ability to hold meetings with a quorum until enough appointments are made and voted on. If the commission determines that they could really use 2 more members, for example, it's a relatively easy task for the city council to make that ordinance change in a timely manner. But to get the group up and running and not tie their hands behind their backs at the start, we felt that 7 members was sufficient. And again, this was the recommendation of the task force. We also discussed additional designees to the commission and settled on the addition of 2 liaisons, one from the city council, one from the police chief or their designee. This was to address the desire for communication between the commission and those separate bodies. And this was the additional language suggested for tonight, for adoption tonight. So with that, the suggested change is to add 1 sentence at the end that simply says, the commission shall have the following liaisons: the chief of police or their designee, and a member of the city council. In addition, I would like to offer an extra phrase, an amendment to that, and it would be adding the sentence chosen according to the rules of the city council for the city council liaison. And so I would like to offer that as an amendment tonight. And again, I want to thank everyone on the committee and the representatives from the Race Equity Task Force for their work last night. I appreciate it.
Second the amendment.
So the amendment, Councilor Marcillo moves to amend the ordinance to add chosen by the rules of the city council?
So the full amendment that came out of OLA last night was to add to the end, the commission shall have the following liaisons: the chief of police or their designee and a member of the city council chosen according to the rules of the city council.
Okay, got it. Councilor Marcillo moves to further amend the ordinance by adding chosen according to the rules of the city council, seconded by Councilor Turiel. Under discussion, seeing none, All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. On adoption of the recommendation as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, Madam President. Point of personal privilege.
Councilor
out of that-
Marcillo, request a point of personal privilege. Seeing no objection, Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you. I worked with the city clerk and with Councilor Riccardi to have a token of our appreciation for Mr. Newton and the city seal to be sent to him, and I'd like to read through the text here. The Salem City Council extends their sincere gratitude and appreciation to Sean Newton for his steadfast leadership of the Race Equity Task Force. Mr. Newton's advocacy for systemic change will benefit Salem's most marginalized. Because of the work completed by the task force, the lives of all residents will be uplifted by the careful work of the newly formed Race Equity Commission and the new Director of Equity and Inclusion. Mr. Newton's contributions to the City of Salem will be felt for generations and will provide a pathway for other communities in the Commonwealth. The Salem City Council extends their appreciation and best wishes on this 9th day of December 2021. And I ask that the city clerk have this sent to Mr. Newton.
Thank you. Anything else? Nothing? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. Did I get to say that?
Yeah.
First of all, let me welcome all the newly elected. They came here tonight. They're the ones that are all smiling, going, "Hey, look what these guys do." But congratulations. Looking forward to serving you in the next coming months. But as we're here tonight, we're here to say goodbye. And it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet because we have the newly elected people behind us, and we have the ones that we've been sitting with that are leaving. I also want to recognize Council Fury. There he is. I've had the pleasure of serving. I usually talk loud enough, I don't need that, but thank you. I've had the pleasure of serving with some of the longest tenured city councilors in the history of the Salem City Council. I've had the pleasure of serving with Council Fury, Councilor O'Keefe, Councilor Joan Lovely, right before I got on the council, Councilor Lenny O'Leary, and the dean of the council this year down the end, Councilor Sargent. And when you look through the little handbook that we got, and you kind of flip through and you kind of start adding up all the numbers after their names, you're like, wow, these guys are here a long time. And it goes that way. Some people are here for a long time, and some people are here for a shorter stint, but they all make their impact on this room. And as Councilor Sargent and myself have become very fond of saying, it's not about the people in the room, it's about the seats in the room. It's about the seats we occupy, because we're just placeholders. But we're placeholders in the history of the city of Salem because we do the work that's in front of us and that's coming before us, but it's also these seats remind us of all the work that was done by everyone who held these seats before us. And it is something that I have never taken lightly. I tend to be someone who takes his job seriously, but also understands you have to have some fun while you do it. And I think we all realize the fun is because we all received one of these today. Sarge was here, wherever the camera is, I don't know where it went. There it is. Sarge was here, and anyone who's, Council Sarge is very fond of making these little smiley faces and leaving on documents, and so when your council president he comes up, all of a sudden you have a smiley face on your work where you're supposed to be working on it. So, but all that being said, tonight we're here. They asked me to be Santa. I don't know why. And I got gifts. Look at that. City clerk has very graciously put together a whole bunch of gifts. You got the time for it. And I got 5 for it. Actually, so So the first one I'm gonna give out, and then I'm sure lots of people more. I have an order I'm gonna give out. I'm giving the first one to Councilman Flynn. I want to thank you for your service. On behalf of the council, I'm sure they'll have some words to say, but as a firefighter for the city of Salem, and someone who's a firefighter and decided to run for office, I give you all the credit in the world. You know, on behalf of your constituents, I know how hard you work for them, so congratulations on your retirement. Thank you very much. Councilor Dibble. Congratulations. I had the pleasure of sitting next to you when you first got elected. I think your commitment to your constituents is second to none. I think that you did a fabulous job representing your ward, and obviously, this past election, you decided to go for the higher office, and it didn't work out, but all that being said, as a counselor, you did everything you were supposed to do, and you did it well, and I want to thank you on behalf of the council for what you did. Thank you. This one's gonna be tough. Council Torrio.
What do I do now?
You do anything.
The bow tie.
I can't say no.
I'd rather have another night.
I could go on all night. 10 years is a long time. We've become very good friends. I don't think there is days that go by without us calling each other, going, do you believe what just happened? And he's told people before, he says, I taught him how to do this job. He taught me more about how to do this job than I think I taught him sometimes. But I'm gonna miss everybody, but I think you always know the special spot you have. Thank you. I'm gonna skip a little protocol. I'm gonna go to the president first, and I'm gonna take care of the old guy. You know,
Good looking old guy.
yeah. This is for you.
Both of them?
Both of them. It's like Christmas all over. One is for your service, and one is so the kids can pull the gavel off and hit you with it later. I know. Council President, I just want to tell you that you came in as a councilor years ago, and we saw you grow up in this room, we saw your kids grow up in this room, and I really want to thank you for your leadership this last year, and I can't tell you how, as a veteran councilor, how duly impressed I was at your ability to take that gavel and lead with that gavel and do your job this year. Your ability to grasp the job and take over was unbelievable. And I want to thank you for your leadership, and you'll be sorely missed. Thank you. One last one, buddy. Hold on.
Move for adjournment.
Denied.
And for some reason or other, the city clerk added some special touches to the packaging.
Payback's the son of a gun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your service. We've been together here in this room for 14 years together. And I will say, we could go into stories or we don't need to go into, but I will say that in my 14 years, whatever side of the issues we were on, I've always found you to be a perfect gentleman and someone who really understands the essence of what happens in the room stays in the room. Because no matter what happens in this room and how heated the debates ever got, it would always be the next day or the next week when I would run into the good board at-large counselor, and it would always be something like, geez, that Beverly team looked horrible last night, or the Salem teams. And it was always like, you know what, it happened, We dealt with it, and you move on. And no matter what the issue was, you always could rely on Council Sargent to do that, and you'll be sorely missed.
Thank you very much.
For that, I'll yield the floor.
So, what he referred to, I'll yield quickly, that was my midnight reset button. I recommend that highly. Get through the day, whatever happens, tomorrow's another day. We go on with the city's business and go see our family. So I'll yield for now. Thank you.
Anyone else? Counselor Turrier.
Thank you, Madam President. It's been a interesting 10 years. I got into it, I wound up doing a job I never planned to do or had really ambitions to do. And it wound up feeling like it was a pretty good fit for me for the last decade. And I hope I did well. I hope I, made a difference for people in my ward and for people in the city that was mostly a positive one. And I know plenty of things I got wrong, but I hope I got most of the things right. I guess the one word I'd have to say about just, going forward for the city and what I think people should be and how I think people should do it. I've said this, a few times. I want to see a city full of the kind of people who return their carts to the, cart bay in the parking lot instead of just leaving it sitting in their space. Because if we were all like that, if we all tried to handle life that way, I think we'd be a better city. I think we'd be a better country. I think we'd be a better world. So just, look in the mirror and try and be the kind of person who returns your shopping cart.
Thank you, Counselor Dominguez. Counselor Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to express my gratitude and how lucky I am to be part of this group for the last 4 years. I had the opportunity to work with many, and in which I feel that is a gift that the city of Salem are giving to us individually, to me. 4 years of learning and being friends with some of you directly or working with you made my entire life. And I wanted to let you know that I will miss every one of the ones that are living right now, regardless of sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. But I think that's part of the job that we were elected for. I wanted to wish the best to the new elected officials coming in, looking forward for a 2 year ahead of us to have fun, just like the good Councilor Ward once say, that we enjoy having fun. So I wanted just to say goodbye to those who are leaving, and I hope you still not in strength to be around. So I'm going to need some advice from you, and I know the new elected official also going to need some advice. And I'm looking forward to work with the one that we will stay here, especially Ward 1 Councilor, Ward 6, Ward 3, and the good at large Conrad and the good at large Ty. So I already started a communication one-on-one with everyone, making sure that the communication in my end start in the full gear for the next 2 years. So looking forward to the next 2 years. So thank you so much, and I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to strongly say that you've done a phenomenal job in this very difficult year. I thought that the good Ward 1 Councilor, former Council President McCarthy, should continue on in the COVID because he did a phenomenal year as well during COVID. But I think that you passed him. I think you did an even better job. So congratulations on a very difficult job and a very difficult year. Doing it on remote, I think it was challenging. Whether we hold city council meetings remotely, online, or in another location, as the council will on January 3rd at the Community Life Center, and I look forward to seeing the new city councilors, the councilor-elects being sworn in, or we hold our city council meetings here in council chambers as the rules dictate. we should always be sure the meetings follow the rules. Over the past 2 years, most of our meetings have been held remotely, and they have been fine as we voted to do so. Our most recent vote expired at the end of October, and another vote should have been taken to continue to do so, but it was not. So a good lawyer or others could use this mistake to their advantage on any votes taken between November 1st and yesterday. We do not want to open the city up to any liability or to delay a project or anything else from moving forward, the budget, et cetera. So I think an easy solution to this, to correct the error, is next year at the city council's next regular meeting, the city council should take 5 minutes and ratify all votes taken remotely in November and December by the city council. It's an easy solution. It will take 2 minutes to do that. Then everything that we voted on remotely in November and December would become legal per our rules. To the Dean of the City Council, Councilor Artie Sargent, your 22 years of experience, I felt it firsthand for quite some time. We've been friends for 40 years or so. We've gone on camping trips with our families 25 years ago, I'm exaggerating, 25 years ago camping trips. And to see him on a camping trip is something to see. It's pretty interesting. We have a different philosophy when it comes to vacation. I like to go, and he knows how to relax. I need to take some more advice from you. But your in-depth knowledge of Salem's rules and ordinances will be missed, especially next year, more than ever before, with 4 councilors having only 2 years' experience, and with 5 brand-new councilors coming on board. Councilor Sargent, your experience would have been much needed next year. The council will need to lean heavily on the new city council, our new dean, Councilor Bob McCarthy, and also to Councilor Domingo Dominguez, as Councilor McCarthy and Dominguez have the most experience. In 40 years of my involvement with the city council, working at City Hall since 1986, in the 6 years I just served, I've never seen such a young and new city council. But it's promising. We have councilor-elects who are all bringing a tremendous amount of a variety of experience to this board. So I look forward to next year. I want to say that we were all elected in good faith to serve and to represent the city. I feel I did the best of my ability to represent Ward 7 and the whole city. From the absolute core of my belief in what I did and how I voted would only be to benefit the citizens of Salem. I don't like how our country is divided over the past 2 decades, even more so. And now it's reflected here in Salem. We should not be divided, as we are all neighbors in this great city. I look forward to bumping into you, Councilor Medora, walking through the downtown or down Loring Avenue or shopping, and all the councilors here, past councilors and future councilors. We can all get along. We're all neighbors. We should all be working for the betterment of the city. I look forward to supporting next year's city council. I say all this because I want the city council to be good, to be civil and kind, and to bring this community together whenever possible and not to divide. I had a great meeting with the mayor earlier this week. And although I came close, I was 9% short of becoming the next mayor of Salem. 41% of the residents that voted for me to become their next leader, and I didn't make it. And I accept that, but I accept who our leader is, whether it be president, the governor, or our mayor, Kim Driscoll, for the next 4 years. I will support her, and I'll be reaching out to the 41% in a couple thousand thank you letters I'm sending out and asking everybody to support Kim Driscoll to lead our city. Please don't lose the sense of community to all the councilors and councilor-elects. Listen to the residents. Please continue to have and be proud of this city and preserve what is left of this great historical town that I really love. Yes, I really love Salem, very much so. And it has been a privilege to serve the residents of Ward 7 and the entire city, and I will miss serving. It's been a privilege to serve with all of you, and thank you all for your support.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Everybody gone?
More hands?
Am I last?
Oh, Councilor Fury would like to offer comment. Is that okay with you, Madam City Clerk?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All right. All right. Seeing no objection, Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you. Public service is a high calling, a real high calling. Whether you're a city clerk, Marlon Bishop, assistant city clerk, on a full-time basis, public service is a high calling. Elected office is a high calling, part-time job. But it's a high calling in public service. Each of us own by beautiful life-size portrait of George Washington as we enter the chambers. This beautiful chamber here, George Washington. Second oldest city hall in the country, distinguished people around us. So this city hall is the second oldest city hall in the country. Integrity, honesty, tradition, everywhere you go. I work at the PBS Museum. I'm proud of it. And lo and behold, one of my bosses at the PBS Museum is your new Ward 4 councilor, Michael McLean. I sincerely believe he will be an exciting new city councilor to this board, and he's a great boss for me to have at the PBS Museum. This is a life-size portrait at the PBS Museum. I just got out of work, so I'm wearing a sweater of the PBS Museum. The flag of Mahatma Gandhi. Beautiful life-size portrait in a beautiful section of India section. Beautiful section of the PBS Museum, and it's a beautiful quotation above this life-size portrait of Mahatma Gandhi, George Washington of India. In it, he says to all of us, in a gentle way, we can all shape the world. In his legacy, he tried to preserve the past, the legacy of India. He tried to create a new legacy of India, challenging on a national level. Here we are on a local level, in the second oldest city hall in the country. We're trying to preserve our legacy as we enter the 400th anniversary of our city. And we're trying to create a new legacy. So I commend and congratulate for those people who serve in public service. Dr. Week, this doctor's this week. I apologize for this doctor's unfortunate mask on. I apologize. I apologize.
That's my husband, counselor. I wish he was a doctor.
Whoa!
You can't go back to school, apparently. So leave, you're in a league of your own. A league of your own. It's my pleasure and privilege to serve with the outgoing members and now with the present members. And the city of Salem is in good hands. Our mayor, Mayor Driscoll, and be careful what you do, okay, in doing one thing. I'm not beyond honesty at this moment. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you enter into. The word shall is very important. Shall. When I helped create 4-year mayor, I sat down with city clerk, Debbie Rockefeller, to craft the motion put on the ballot for 4-year mayor. There are 1,500 signatures on the ballot, and she asked the advice of the Secretary of State. How should we craft that word? And the word was shall. And it's a very big word, literally, shall. Shall the office of mayor in 4 years. And the citizens there, in their wisdom, said, yes, the office of mayor shall be 4 years. I think I offer you 24 years of experience in the next boss, we are sitting, and 12 years in school committee. Not a rich name, so 24 years in the school committee. Be careful what you wish for. This city council, in its wisdom over the years, had the jurisdiction in the ordinance power to have the city clerk under its jurisdiction. It said shall in our ordinance. Very careful, that word shall, legal word, not should, but shall. I sat down, Councilor Steve Lovely, but Councilor Boswitzky is sitting tonight, and I sat down with Councilor Lovely, who we always disagree with, a lawyer, and I said to him, you gotta set the salary of mayor. It says shall in the ordinance. He said, yes. All the city councilors before him and myself agreed. We decided to keep that ordinance intact. It is our full jurisdiction to have the city clerk in our domain. I think the power play of this mayor, power play. This mayor was a strong mayor. And I believe in a strong mayor. But this is a power play and a power play by this mayor. You have the authority. Don't give it up. Be careful what you wish for. We have the best city clerk we could ask for, number one. Guess what? We named the city clerk's office number one after Danny Shaw. Every city council does, every city clerk that I work with, that's true. Linda Dorfman, Debbie Robichaud, Cheryl Plummer, Eileen. I'm gonna end a very frank, honest, disagreement with you. Be careful what you wish for. We interviewed a wide host of candidates. I was on that committee for our city clerk. And I tell you honestly, that night, I told Eileen, I told her husband and family that night, I would resign as city council. That city council back then did not be a bunch of city clerk. That front on my hand, and that front on my hand tonight is a power grab by this mayor. You set the salary. You set the role of the city clerk. It's yours, Martha. Don't give it up. Once you give up something, you'll never get it back. Maybe she has the appropriate money, but you have, under this ordinance, shall appoint the city clerk, shall set the salary. So be careful what you wish for. I deeply love Eileen, what she's done for the city. Look at the crisis that we're in. COVID, election after election, presidential elections, referendums. How many hours she puts in? Each of the city councilmen, each of the city clerks that I serve under, integrity, honesty. We named that room after Josephine Bush. We named number one Debbie Robichaud. Let me say to you, candidly and frankly, she's number one. Don't compromise. Don't give in to this power grab. Let me power grab. I love this man. I campaign for this man. It's an abuse of power. You have the power. Don't do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Papworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to, Councilor Fury, don't feel bad for mistaking Rob back there for somebody else. I was in Dick's Sporting Goods once and mistook him for DJ Napolitano, I think. I have no idea how that happened. But did want to just take a minute to recognize the spouses and family members of all of us here. My wife right now, I think, is at a dance rehearsal with 4 kids and juggling Burger King probably right now. And Rob and others make a sacrifice when we do this here, so I want to recognize all of them. I want to recognize the new counselors over here. They've been recognized already, but excited to work with them. I think my kids are probably like at least 2 of them more than they like me, so we're excited to see them come over with us. And then just to recognize that some of the departing counselors, as much as we disagreed, I think everyone would always pick up the phone. We really appreciate that. The public sees the disagreements in public, but the conversations that happen behind the scenes are important, and I think that doesn't happen in every city, and just want to just ensure that continues moving forward. And then just to recognize Councilor Sargent for what he did. I think I feel like I personally missed out on sitting next to this man for the last 2 years. I could tell even over Zoom, when he would get frustrated with us, he'd start shuffling his papers a little bit. And I probably was the source of that sometimes, but I think for Councilor Sargent, I think it was always about something other than himself. It was never his own personal ego that drove him. It was respect for the council, respect for the office, and respect for his constituents. And that's what I think drove him. And I think we want more city councilors like that. I want to recognize Councilor Turrill just real quickly. I've said before that I think he's an alien life form. He's just something different about Josh. And Josh is somebody who, when I first moved to Salem, I immediately followed him on social media just to understand what was happening with local politics. And he's always been very good at just explaining what's happening in a very rational manner. And then Councilor Madore was my ward councilor for the last 4 years. Always appreciated even before I got on the council. She was a big part of the reason I decided to run, was just seeing what she was able to do in the city and seeing how she articulated the issues, and been something that I've always looked forward to, or I've always looked to for advice and understanding about what was happening in the council. So just appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you for not telling the Christmas tree story.
Almost did.
Councilor Marcelo.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to take the opportunity to make a few appreciative remarks. First, I want to start with the members of OLA. We got a lot of work done this year. I appreciate the time and the effort that everyone put in. And I especially thank the city clerk for all of her help and Maureen's help as well. Just as an aside to the new dean of the council, I also have the bat phone number. Just gonna leave it at that.
I don't have the bat phone number.
To the departing counselors, I appreciate all of your time and your energy that you've put in. My partner on Highland Avenue here, the Ward 7 counselor, I do appreciate, and I know that your constituents appreciate all the work that you've done. Counselor Turiel was always there to answer my A&F questions. I'm not necessarily the best with budgets and all that stuff, but he could always explain that. And just a short little memory of Counselor Sargent. From our Zoom days, I will always remember you entering OLA meetings with your camera phone and just kind of peering around the edge of the screen, which was hilarious to have someone like poking into the room, quite literally. And it was, I'm always gonna laugh when I think of you at those meetings. But I also appreciate your historical perspective for the council. And finally, Council President Madore, who has been a mentor and a friend for these 2 years. It seemed like a lot more than that, but it's only been 2 years. We met regularly over some sort of platform online to kind of help me get OLA under control. I think we did that for about 6 or 7 months until the summer break, which was extremely helpful, just understanding who to invite to meetings and who to include from the city and who to include from the public, and what to ask for specifically from the city clerk, which it's not always obvious to get started like that. And so you really did help to get me moving from the start, and I appreciate that. And I also want to say that as the mother of 2 young children, I'm not sure how you're doing all of this. I also at one point had 2 young children and would never consider doing this kind of a job on top of a full-time job during COVID, and with Councilor Riccardi having to handle the notices from the school saying that your child was in close contact with someone who tested positive. And this has been going on for months for these 2 counselors. And I think that we need to recognize that as mothers of young children, this is a monumental task in its own. On top of that, you have a full-time job, each of you. And on top of that, you have a city councilor position that is a full-time job, believe me, as ward councilors. The emails and the phone calls that we get, the need to go to meetings to stay on top of issues in the city, and especially in our ward. It's a lot of work. And I, for one, do not know how either of you do it, but especially as council president too. It's a lot of work, and you have all of my gratitude for the work that you've done this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Council Sargent, I'll have you give you the last word. Anybody else want to offer anything? Council Presnewski.
Thank you. Being the, thank you, wingman, being the old new guy on the council, I think it's proper that we recognize our outgoing council members and the efforts that they put in and how much they've taught me in the 2 years that I've been on. I can tell you, President Madore, your expertise as an urban developer spoke volumes, especially from the first time that I met you and you had a lecture at one of the downtown businesses and spoke about urban development, something that was very, very new to me. I could see that this city was extremely lucky to have someone like you, especially a city that's going through the type of development issues that we have, to have somebody like you with us to help explain the development process. And the way that you handled your presidency, that wasn't a gavel, that was a sword, and and you did it delicately and well done. You did a great job of keeping law and order in the council and during all the public hearings. Councilor Flynn, fiercely dedicated to Salem, to his Ward 4 constituents. always spoke with a kind heart, always for the benefit of a lot of the forgotten people in the city, regardless of whether they were in your ward or not. I think your empathy and your bravery in what you do spoke volumes of the person you are. And thank you for what you did. The financial whiz sitting next to me over here, Josh Turiel, we all know how good he is with finance, and just watching the finance meetings is always, it's eye-opening, but having him explain things the way that he did, especially to you folks on Facebook, he takes issues that are very convoluted and just hard to understand, and he breaks them down so that we can all understand, and he makes our job as counselors a lot easier because he understands a lot of things, at least to me, a lot of things that I didn't understand. So I tip my hat to you for bringing us to that level so that we can understand what's going on with
Thank you.
finance.
I don't even do the bookkeeping for my business.
That's good. That's good. And you drive the boat too, I bet, right? I love that. Councilor Dibble, what can I say about Steve that hasn't already been said? He definitely sees issues in a different light and through different glasses than a lot of us do. But because of that, he introduces us to things that we don't see. And something clicks sometimes that we have to think twice about what he says because it makes sense. Doesn't mean that we agree with him, but it shows his commitment and that he sees things differently and he makes us think differently. So for that, in the 2 years that I spent with you, thank you for that, because you did open my eyes on a lot of matters. And for our dean, Councilor Sargent, he's like E.F. Hutton. When he speaks, everyone listens, right? His wisdom, his experience, it speaks volumes. Your voice often makes us think twice about what's really happening, makes us think deep, and a lot of time changes our minds on issues at the last minute because you see things with so much experience and knowledge, and that's going to be something that's going to be a hole in our council. So believe me, I'm going to be reaching out to every single one of you at some time or another because I respect every one of you where you stand to make my job of making decisions a lot easier. And I hope that the new council members also recognize the strengths and weaknesses of the people that you're going to be working with, as we are going to recognize your strengths and count on you to run this city. So with that, I say thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Counselor Flynn?
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank everyone tonight for the kind words. Thank you, Councilor Krasowski. Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. I appreciate that. I just want to say it's been an honor and pleasure serving the last 4 years as the Ward 4 Councilor. I really put my heart and soul and gave 110%. Whether we agreed or disagreed, I respect all of you and the councilors on the previous council that I served with. But most of all, I just want to say how much this room really means to me and how you almost tear up when you see the desks, how you did a great job, Madam City Clerk, the chairs, everything. I remember coming in here as a child. I grew up in Salem my entire life, and I remember coming in City Hall, and you'd be in awe when you come and see this room, which looked pretty similar in a way in the layout. But I also remember coming in here as a 24-year-old young man, sitting right over here, being sworn in as a firefighter, then a few years later being sworn in as a police reserve, and then as a fire lieutenant. And I can't tell you what this room is really a part of me, and I can't tell you how honored I am to sit in these seats. Just like you said, we're representing so much more, looking over at Council Fury, and thinking of Dear Joe O'Keefe and Lenny O'Leary. And I want to congratulate the new councilors-elect. You're coming into something so special. and you can make such a difference in people's lives. You know, there's big issues that we tackle here, but to most of our constituents, even the littlest things, as a curb or a sidewalk or a pothole, that means a lot to them. And it really focused early on how much you can really help people and make a difference when they say, you know, I've been trying to fix this for so many years, and thank you so much. It's the little things like that that make this job so good. And again, I want to thank you all. Whether we agree or disagree, like I said, we're all part of a team, and we all did our best, because it really is something else to be able to make a difference in the city that I love. And same thing with Ward 4. I really, really love the people up there. I want to throw a quick shout out to my assistant Ward 4 counselor, Tanis. He was in here before, that we gave him a nice citation. And he really opened my eyes. I mean, I always cared a lot about ADA issues, but I never really saw how important it is until I saw it through his eyes. So he really did so much work, you know, starting off with the playgrounds and sidewalks. And I can't tell you how much this young man fought. And he really is a great, great young man. And he is a part of Ward 4. And in closing, I've always said that Lenny O'Leary, he is still and always will be the Ward 4 counselor. Anyone else that serves in Ward 4, we're just taking his spot for the time being. People still to this day say how much Lenny did for them personally. And again, I just want to say thank you to Lenny for all he's done for the city. And again, he'll always be the Ward 4 counselor. But thank you all. I wish you all the best in moving forward. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. I want to offer a few words before I recognize our dean. I had prepared a statement because I get flustered and I don't want to go off track. So no matter which way you cut it, these past 2 years has been one of, if not the most challenging times to be a public official. The difficult and unprecedented issues we faced not only demanded more from us as counselors, but also more from our families. I want to first express my deep appreciation for our spouses. Many of you are here tonight. Our kids, our parents, and those who love us for sharing the 11 of us with the Salem community. Thank you. I know that our loved ones look forward to having us more often at the dinner table, for those of us who are leaving, at least. Next, I want to thank all 10 of you, my colleagues, for your service. You chose to serve not for the fame, not for the fortune, but for the passion and the love that we have for Salem. Each of us may approach our jobs differently and have differences in opinion on policy issues, but we all come from the same place where we truly care about the people of Salem. Thank you to all the city staff. I think there's one sitting right there. Thank you to all the city staff who supported our work in and outside City Hall, especially our city clerks. It takes more, we can't do our jobs alone, and there's so much that needs to happen behind the curtain that that the public just simply don't see. And as my colleagues like to say, you make us look good. It's as simple as that. And our work also requires strong partnership, and I want to thank the mayor for all her leadership and the strong partnership that we have. I will talk a little bit about Ward 2, since I'm the outgoing Ward 2 counselor. As a Ward 2 counselor over the past 4 years, I am proud of the growth and changes in the ward. Places where vacant buildings once stood are now homes to neighbors old and new. We cut more ribbons and said goodbye to small businesses downtown and across the ward. We took meaningful steps to make our streets safer for everyone, starting with small changes just with paint to beautify our crosswalks and bike lanes, or to bigger efforts like repaving entire streets and sidewalks and installing a roundabout. Most of all, I'm proud of the resilience of our people in the ward. I was actually very thrilled to see our downtown roar back into life this past year and meet so many new people who have chose Salem as their new home over the pandemic, like I did 6 years ago and fell in love with the city. I'm so grateful to Ward 2 voters for the confidence in me to be your representative the last 4 years. It's been an honor to serve you. As a body, we have much to be proud of as well. Since my first term in office in 2018, we adopted so many ordinances and policies. A tree ordinance, first of all. We made significant investments to our public parks. Every year we passed budgets that kept our city's finances sound. We enacted policies that made Salem one of the leaders in the North Shore in tackling climate change and made small strides in addressing the housing crisis. We also repeatedly denounced hate, prejudice, and discrimination in the face of divisive politics and narratives that trickle down from the national level. And as you know, you all know very well, the work of local government is never done. The pandemic made it clear that the Salem's continuing prosperity only benefited some and not all. My hope for the incoming council is to take even bolder strides in addressing the housing affordability issues and the climate crisis. This may mean picking up the work we have already started, like inclusionary zoning and adopting a condominium conversion ordinance to slow the pace of a rapidly disappearing rental stock. It could mean acting on the climate crisis with a real sense of urgency by adopting all the tools and policies available to us to reduce our carbon emissions, starting with the way we move and how we build. To the new councilors, congrats and good luck. My only advice to you is to always ask yourself this question when you're making your mind about how to vote a certain way. Am I protecting the entitlements of the past or preparing for the needs of the future? It's a tricky balance to strike. Remember that many of the decisions that you make in the next 2 years may seem trivial, but together they pave the way to bigger changes down the road. And lastly, as council president this year, I learned to never settle on a normal way to do things. Salem has never shied away from being a pioneer and an innovator. I wish for the incoming council to continue to seek the courage to innovate, take thoughtful risks to drive progress, use your platform to speak up for those who don't have a voice, and never be afraid to admit your mistakes. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season with all your families. And with that, I'll recognize Council Sergeant Ardeen. I'm going to invite Ardeen to the podium.
Thank you, Madam President, for sharing the podium with me. Seems like 22 years ago was yesterday when I first walked through that door. But first of all, I just want to thank all of our councilors, especially our outgoing councilors. Firefighter Flynn, I'll always remember you on Firefighter Sunday. I'll be there to support you guys. You've worked very hard, and Lenny O'Leary would be very proud of you. Council Turiel, I'll always remember you at tax time when I'm doing my taxes, because I don't like doing my taxes, and I'm glad you took care of the figures, especially during this pandemic time. Council Dibble is the ultimate volunteer. You volunteer with him whether you like it or not. The first project I ever did with him was Volunteers Bridge on South Campus across. He told me, come on up, we're going to build a bridge across the South River, or the Forest River. I said, oh, really? I told my wife I wasn't going to be there. But I ended up being there because his will overtakes you. And we got that done. And Councilman Medora, I just remember you so much for leadership this year, getting through this during the pandemic, and sometimes hearing your little children in the background. But yet still you were taking care of Salem as your children also. So thank you. All of you for getting us through the pandemic, especially the committee chairs. I would have had a difficult time doing Zoom meetings. For Ola, for Council Masillo, to be young on the council and to run those meetings so well, I'll be forever impressed. Council Toriel again for doing all the math and all those things. For Government Services, Councilor Hapworth, and Economic Development, Councilor Dominguez, and Public Health Safety, Councilor Riccardi. Thank you all for helping us to get through this. I'll remember all of you councilors special, as I will the first council I ever served on, and some 40 or so city councilors. I was trying to count in my head how many I served with. It's about 40 or so. And even for the new councilors, you know, you think you'll learn things from the old councilors, but I have a teaching minor from Salem State, and I've coached kids in sports. A funny thing happens every time you go to teach somebody something. You learn something back from them also. And I've learned something from every councilor I ever served from, even the most newest of councilors, just by on the way you serve and the way you live your life. So thank you all for being a good example for me. And the Councilor Fury for being here, the dean before me, thank you. And all the incoming councilors. It's kind of like when you're going home with a newborn baby. You didn't quite know what you were getting into, but you learn fast, so you'll be fine. So, I'd like to thank all the city employees who've helped me do this job and help us do this job. Thank friends, supporters, neighborhood groups, and the people of Salem. Thank the former deans, Lenny O'Leary, Joe O'Keefe, and Tom Fury, the mayors, former Mayor Yusevich and Mayor Driscoll for working with me and us. Past president and current city clerks and assistant city clerks, especially our first city clerk, Debbie Birkinshaw, who brought me along fast when I was young. Then Cheryl LaPointe, and now our great city clerk, Eileen Simons, and her assistant city clerks, Maureen Fisher and Rochelle Sport. I'd like to thank you all. And, you know, besides your work on the city clerk's office, you got us through the most difficult election of all time. And in my own life, I'd like to thank the people of Salem, my teachers, coaches, the old Salem Fraternity Boys Club and their staff, and the YMCA as I was growing up, for shaping my life and my values. What an honor it is to represent your hometown and the good people of Salem in any endeavor, whether it's playing sports at Salem High School or sitting in the chair over there in one of these chairs for 22 years as a city councilor. I've been blessed to be able to do it. I have missed this room so much during the pandemic, but as much as you want something, you sometimes have to understand there's greater forces at play. I'll never forget this chamber and the people who serve in it. Except for my family, it's been the biggest honor of my life. Some of the basic principles on how I approached the job of city councilor. Number one was listen more than you talk. Two is know the rules, taught to me by my first city clerk, Debbie Birkinshaw. 3, learn how to count to 6 and how to count to 8. Taught to us all by the first dean of the council I had, Mr. Lenny O'Leary. 4 is to move the question, taught to me by the next dean, Joe O'Keefe. 5 is to keep the discussion to the issue at hand, taught to me by myself. You know, you take your vote, you accept the results, and no matter how you vote on an issue, you root for the city to succeed. Bottom line. I've always known that the chair I sit in is more important than the person who sits in it, that the dignity of the city council was more important than any one councilor, that the chair, this city council chamber, and this legislative body was here long before me, and it'll be here long after I'm gone, that I had to honor the legacy of every councilor who served here and set a good example for every councilor who serves after me. I hope with all my heart that I did that well. And to my family, most important of all, I want to thank my family who serve with me every day, and thank all of your families also. For the time we serve here is borrowed from our families. There's only so many hours in a day, and we borrow a lot of time from our families. My wife and children worked so hard for me when I first got elected, and they supported me for 10 elections after that. They would do anything for me. But they didn't realize at first how much family time they would sacrifice. While I was in office, as much as I love serving our city, there are times when I wish I had every hour back to spend with them. I won 11 elections with their help. By me not running for re-election, they won this election. They have their husband, their father, and their grandfather back. God bless them, God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor.
Am I making a motion now?
Counselor Sargent.
Is there any points of personal privilege beyond the, no? Well, with that, I move for adjournment.
Counselor Sargent moves for adjournment. All those in favor? All those opposed? We adjourn.
Good job, everybody. Let me open it?